Welcome to China Truths. Today we will bring you the following stories. 3 top Chinese officials sentenced to death amid speculation of Xi Jinping's waning power. China blockade would be act of war. Taiwan rejects South Africa's demand to move de facto embassy from capital. U.S. House Republicans probe alleged use of Chinese machinery at Los Alamos National Laboratory. Now, let's dive into the details. It's all covered in today's China Truths. 3 top Chinese officials sentenced to death amid speculation of Xi Jinping's waning power. 3 high-ranking Chinese officials, including a political rival of Chinese leader Xi Jinping, have received suspended death sentences for bribery. The situation has added to speculation among China observers about Xi's waning influence, especially since he was absent from recent significant military events. The officials, who were sentenced between October 10 and October 14, include Fanny Fei, former deputy governor of the People's Bank of China, China's central bank, Jian Jie, former vice chairman of the Political Consultative Conference of Tibet, and Wong, former deputy governor of Liaoning province and head of the provincial public security department. The alleged bribes they took ranged from 225 million yuan, or about $31.6 million, to 555 million yuan, or about $77.9 million, according to official sources. Of these 3 officials, Wang Daowei's case stands out as he was one of the 4 key subordinates of Sun Lijun, former deputy minister of public security who was a main target of Xi's anti-corruption campaign 2 years ago. China watchers see Wang Daowei's downfall as an extension of Xi's purge within the public security system to get rid of any potential political adversaries. Xi did not attend 2 military events, an important conference and a visit by Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov in Beijing on October 14 to 15. Zhang Youxia, vice chairman of China's Central Military Commission, chaired the conference and met with Belousov in Xi's absence. Instead of playing a leading role in those crucial events, Xi, who serves as chairman of China's Central Military Commission, was on an inspection tour in the distant Fujian province with no pressing matters to address. China analysts say these developments indicate that Xi's grip on power may be weakening. At the same time, they are observing whether Xi is attempting to maintain the appearance of control. Whether he continues purging political rivals will also be a key indicator of how much power he still holds, they said. Yuan Hongbing, a former Peking University law professor now residing in Australia, told the Epoch Times that during Xi's early days in power, Xi faced considerable opposition from rival factions, such as the late Chinese leader Jiang Zemin and former security chief Zhou Yongkang. By appointing his close ally Wang Xiaohong as the Deputy Minister of Public Security in 2018, traditionally Jiang's turf, Xi worked to establish his own influence there, and the removal of Sun, the then Deputy Minister, was seen as a major milestone, according to Yuan. Sun was arrested in April 2020 on charges that included bribery, illegal possession of firearms, and forming political cliques. Wang Xiaohong became the head of the agency in June 2022. Subsequently, in September 2022, Xi initiated a new round of political purges ahead of the CCP's 20th National Party Congress to strengthen his authority, with Sun's cohort as a primary target. The purge was intense at the time. On September 22, former Justice Minister Fu Zhenghua was given a suspended death sentence, the same ruling Sun received the next day. Sun's case has continued to be referenced in official statements. It drew much attention when authorities ordered a comprehensive investigation and emphasized the need to root out the remnants of his criminal gang in a March 2023 directive. Political commentator Li Lini told the Epoch Times that Xi's actions against Sun reflected his determination to control all key positions in public security. The nationwide so-called comprehensive investigation launched in March 2023 was likely intended to go beyond Sun's associates and potentially implicate other top figures within the system, such as Guo Xinkuan, the recently retired former head of the Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission, and Zhao Keji, the former Minister of Public Security, he said. Canada-based Chinese dissident Wang Huntao, chairman of the National Committee of the China Democratic Party, holds a similar view. Wang Huntao told the Epoch Times that both the Chinese military and public security systems have long been dominated by Jiang's faction, posing a significant threat to Xi's rule. Despite Jiang's death on November 30, 2022, his faction survived him as a political clique, working collaboratively to maintain their influence. Wang Huntao, also a member of the CCP's princelings, the children of elite party families, has extensive knowledge of the party's inner workings. He described Xi's strategy of handling political cases as economic corruption crimes, a hallmark of his selective anti-corruption campaign. The infighting within the CCP's military and police systems has historically been the most brutal, often a battle for life and death, Wong said. China blockade would be act of war. China's government would be committing an act of war should it decide to impose a blockade on Taiwan, Taiwan's Defense Minister Wellington Koo warned on October 23, a week after China held military drills that encircled the island. Speaking to reporters at Taiwan's legislature, Koo was asked about China's recent military drills, which the Chinese military dubbed Joint Sword 2024B. During the one-day exercise on October 14, Chinese aircraft and vessels engaged in drills that included a blockade of key ports and areas. Koo said that while the drills delineated the exercise area, there were no designated no-flight or no-sail zones. Under international law, a blockade would prohibit aircraft and ships from entering an area, Koo added. Then, according to United Nations resolutions, it is regarded as a form of war, he said. I want to stress that drills and exercises are totally different from a blockade, as would be the impact on the international community. Beijing considers Taiwan part of its territory and has threatened to use military force to seize the island. In 2023, the Pentagon warned that China could potentially force Taiwan to surrender by imposing a blockade against the island, with concurrent electronic warfare, network attacks, and information operations. Koo said that a blockade against Taiwan would affect the global economy, noting that 1/5 of global freight, or approximately $2.5 trillion of goods, passes through the Taiwan Strait, a narrow body of water separating China and Taiwan. The international community could not sit by and just watch, he said. Taiwan has been outlining its preparations in case of a blockade, but Koo noted that the island's dependence on imported liquefied natural gas could be a weak point. The U.S. think tank Center for Strategic and International Studies, SISE, said in an August report that Taiwan's dependence on imports, about 97% of its energy and about 70% of its food, makes the island vulnerable to a potential China blockade. Taiwan's stockpiles of coal, crude oil, and food could be subjected to Chinese bombardment during a blockade, thus reducing Taiwan's ability to resist, according to the report. China does not need to hermetically seal off Taiwan to achieve its goals, the report says. Curtailing trade into Taiwan by even 50% would prove detrimental for Taiwan, especially if Beijing stops all or most imports of oil, natural gas, and coal, which would eventually cause progressive failures in electric power distribution around the island. The Chinese military's coercion against Taiwan has not stopped following the October 14 military drills. On Wednesday morning, Taiwan's defense ministry announced that it had spotted a Chinese Navy fleet, led by the Liaoning aircraft carrier, sailing north through the Taiwan Strait from the vicinity of Taipei-administered Pratas Islands, which are located in the northern part of the South China Sea. On Monday, China's Maritime Safety Administration issued a notice saying that an area around Niushan Island in southern China's Fujian province would be closed off from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. the next day, local time, for live fire drills. In response, Taiwan's defense ministry called the live drills part of routine Chinese training. U.S. Secretary of the Air Force Frank Kendall, in a keynote address at an Air and Space Forces Association convention in September, discussed threats posed by China against the United States and Taiwan. China is moving toward larger and more sophisticated exercises, generally oriented on an invasion or blockade of Taiwan, Kendall said. I am not saying war in the Pacific is imminent or inevitable, the likelihood is increasing and will continue to do so. China's building a military with a purpose to seize Taiwan and defeat the United States and its partners. Xi Jinping has told his military to be ready by 2027. We don't know his intent, but there is no question that China is preparing for conflict with the United States. To prevent conflict, we must be ready. To prevail in conflict, we must be ready. Taiwan rejects South Africa's demand to move de facto embassy from capital. Taiwan's foreign ministry said on October 22 it has refused to move Taipei's de facto embassy out of South Africa's capital, Pretoria. South Africa's foreign ministry, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, confirmed on October 18 that it had requested Taiwan to rebrand the Taipei Liaison Office as a trade office and relocate from Pretoria to Johannesburg, which the department called the country's economic hub. In response to Taipei's criticism that South Africa is yielding to pressure from Beijing, the department explained that the request was made because the country does not have formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan, and the move was meant to correct the anomaly of having the Taiwan office located in the capital city. On Tuesday, Taiwan's spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Jeff Liu, told reporters the ministry had summoned South Africa's representative in Taipei to protest and reject South Africa's ultimatum after receiving it on October 7. According to Liu, South Africa's foreign ministry first communicated the request in December 2023, which was followed by a written request in April this year. The Taipei Liaison Office was given 6 months to move. On October 7, South Africa's foreign ministry told the liaison office to move out of Pretoria by the end of October or be shut down. South Africa severed its diplomatic ties with Taiwan to establish formal relations with China on January 1, 1998. Before the switch, South Africa reached a new deal with Taiwan, including an agreement to maintain liaison offices. Liu said the demand to rebrand and move the liaison office blatantly violates the spirit and the text of the 1997 agreement that allows both parties to set up a liaison office in the other country's capital. "We will never accept such unreasonable demands," Liu said, adding that the ministry is prepared for various contingencies. On October 21, Taiwan's Foreign Minister Lin Qialong told legislators on the Foreign and National Defense Committee that he hopes there's room for negotiation but is prepared for the worst-case scenario. Lin said a number of countries, including the United States, Japan, and the Czech Republic, have helped Taiwan in its negotiations with South Africa. He also noted dissent within South Africa's new coalition government. A spokesperson for South Africa's Department of International Relations and Cooperation told the Epoch Times that the department will continue to engage with the Taipei Liaison Office through appropriate and official channels. China applauded South Africa's move last week, with spokeswoman Waning saying Beijing appreciates South Africa's correct decision. In 2017, Taiwan was forced to change the names of its representative offices in Nigeria, Bahrain, Ecuador, Jordan, and Dubai. The rebranded office in Nigeria was also moved from the capital, Abuja, to the country's largest city, Lagos. Questioning Lin on Monday, Democratic Progressive Party lawmaker Wong expressed concern that South Africa's demand could cause chain reactions in the region, including in neighboring Eswatini, the only African country that maintains formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan. Meanwhile, on October 16, Taiwan unveiled its new de facto embassy in Mumbai. The new economic and cultural center is the Taiwan government's third office in India. In response, Beijing lodged stern representations, saying Taiwan is an integral part of China's territory. The Republic of China, ROC, Taiwan's official name, was founded in 1912 in China. The ROC government, under nationalist leader Chiang Kai-shek, relocated to the island in 1949 after losing control of mainland China to Mao Zedong's communist forces in the Chinese Civil War. Absorbing Taiwan remains one of Beijing's top goals. The Chinese Communist Party, which has never ruled Taiwan, considers the self-governed island to be a renegade province and has never ruled out the possibility of using force to control it. U.S. House Republicans probe alleged use of Chinese machinery at Los Alamos National Laboratory. The U.S. House Republicans have requested information from the Department of Energy, DOE, about a top United States research facility allegedly using equipment linked to the Chinese government and its military. Chairman of the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, Brad Wenstrup, a Republican from Ohio, said in an October 17 letter to Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm that the committee has uncovered information suggesting that Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico is using equipment linked to a Chinese company called Beijing Genomics Institute, BGI. Wenstrup said the committee is investigating how much Los Alamos relies on technology developed by BGI, a Chinese firm that the Pentagon has linked to the People's Liberation Army, PLA. He has requested all documents and communications indicating the department's use of equipment, software, or any other product which were manufactured by or are linked to Beijing Genomics Institute. He also requested a briefing regarding the presence of a BGI machine at Los Alamos for no later than October 31, 2024. Wenstrup's letter to Granholm expressed concern regarding the potential dangers to U.S. national security and biosecurity that could result from the operation of machinery manufactured by BGI at a sensitive facility. The subcommittee is particularly alarmed by Beijing's endeavors to infiltrate American institutions and influence their operations. If there is in fact a BGI machine at Los Alamos, the U.S. government's most advanced scientific institution, one that is directly involved in investigating and protecting against biosecurity threats including COVID-19, may be putting American national security at risk by using machinery linked to the Chinese Communist Party, (PLA), Wenstrup said. Wenstrup introduced the Biosecure Act earlier this year. Passed by the U.S. House of Representatives, it is currently pending in the Senate. This act is designed to ensure that American patient data and taxpayer dollars do not fall into the hands of foreign adversaries' biotechnology companies by prohibiting federal contracting with these companies, including BGI, Wenstrup said in a statement. A 2022 report, published by strategic intelligence firm Strider Technologies, claims that Beijing conducted a systematic effort to recruit scientists from Los Alamos National Laboratory, LANL, to work on its military programs. At least 162 Los Alamos researchers have been hired by Beijing over the last 35 years, according to the report.